Welcome to the 15th episode of the 12th season of Wctv.
We have a lot of news for you this fine Friday, starting with the dangers of tanning, a little bit about Wctv, and bringing you a forecast on the weekend weather.
We'll be right back, so don't touch the clicker.
Boone, you're looking a little tanner than usual. Have you been tanning?
Nah, I'm not into that stuff. It's really bad for you.
Are you kidding? I love tanning. Helps me keep my summer glow all year long.
I'm still not that convinced. Let's send it over to Becca Gertis to hear all the facts on tanning beds.
That warm summer glow. In the middle of winter?
Tanning salons. Tanning salons. Here's one. The R Company. Sarah Capriva. I wonder if she has anything to tell me about tanning.
What are some of the tips that you have for people who would like to tan?
First of all, use some lotion. Your lotion's going to deepen your tan. It's going to help your tan last longer, and you're going to get more bang for your buck.
How often do you get students coming in wanting to tan?
I usually have at least 1 or 2 students tanning. The closer it gets to dances, such as Winterfest and prom, the more students tan.
So, if students here at WCHS are using tanning beds, do they know the facts on tanning and what those facts truly mean? Some of the students here at the high school had their facts straight, and Mary Lou Woodhouse is present to explain them.
There's no such thing as a safe tan.
Basically, ultraviolet light is cancerous when radiation interacts with the skin cells. Skin cells are made up of DNA. Any kind of radiation that impedes on the DNA can break apart the DNA, and any kind of breaking apart of the DNA can cause cancer to develop when DNA reforms.
Melanoma is the most deadly form of skin cancer.
The reason for that is because it's derived from pigment cells. We all have different cells that line the top of our skin. Some are derived from pigment cells, and some are what we call epithelial type cells. But because melanoma derives itself from pigment cells, it is more easy to spread within the body. And that is why melanoma is actually the deadliest form of skin cancer, because it more readily spreads to the lymph nodes, to the liver, and to the brain.
Even though I'm a compulsive tanner, using a tanning bed more than 10 times a year makes people 7 times more likely to develop malignant melanoma than those who do not use a tanning bed that often. The risk of melanoma was increased more than 300% for those using a tanning bed occasionally and 800% for those using a tanning bed often.
Most people who have been in tanning beds go back to tanning beds very frequently because they like the effect. They like to look tan on their skin. So you get people going back more frequently. More frequent sun exposure leads to more frequent radiation on top of the skin, which leads to more damage on the skin. So right now, the #1 killer among females between the ages of 18 and 25 is melanoma skin cancer, and it is believed that it is directly related to tanning bed use.
With all these facts about tanning out in the open, I hope that everyone thinks twice about tanning and that they think about covering up in the sun. I'm Becca Gertis reporting for WCTV, and my bacon days are over.
See, I told you so. Tanning is bad for you.
I don't care. What happens, happens.
Those UV rays are going to catch up to you eventually.
Oh well, it's just, I miss lifeguarding full time. I love that kind of weather.
Speaking of weather, what's the prediction this next couple days? It's been pretty crazy all week. Is it going to keep it up this weekend?
I'm not really sure. I bet our very own Jan Ryherd can inform us, so let's send it that way to Jan.
Happy Friday to everyone watching. I'm WCTV's Chief Meteorologist, Jan Ryherd. Let's start by looking at the almanac. The average low for February 4th in Webster City is 7 degrees, and the average high is 26 degrees. Looking at records, we reached a record high of 55 in Webster City on this day in 1955. Our record low was negative 29 degrees. Was reached on this day in 1925. We received no precipitation 1 year ago today. Taking a look at our forecast for this part of the weekend, we will have partly cloudy skies today and cloudy skies for the rest of the weekend. Tonight, overnight lows will be around 20 degrees. There's a 40% chance of snow for both Saturday and Sunday. Highs for the weekend will be around the lower 30s, and overnight lows will dip to the mid to lower 30s on Saturday and the upper teens on Sunday. Winds for the weekend will be out of the southwest at around 10 miles per hour. Looks like you need to bundle up for the weekend ahead. Back to you, Kirk and Boone.
Looks like the weather is going to keep being all the WCTV staff busy.
Yeah, things are always pretty hectic around here.
I love this class though. It's my favorite. All the people here are so cool. Mr. Clark, Mr. Wakeman, and Mr. Murphy rock, and the features are always so much fun. It's unlike any class I've ever had here at the high school. But what a lot of our audience doesn't realize is that so much work goes into making a weekly feature.
All you guys see is the final project in our smiling talent, but there's a lot more effort and people behind the scenes that you might realize. So here's James Dervalge with just that, behind the scenes of WCTV.
Every Friday, the students of WCHS tune into the school channel to view WCTV. WCTV, for those of you who do not know, is a student-produced newscast that covers stories around Webster High School and its many activities. The production of a weekly newscast is a lot of hard work and requires the creative talents of its reporters, directors, and technical personnel. So how is a single WCTV story brought to the screen? Each week, the student directors assign new features of the talent. The directors give an overview of what the feature is going to be about and how they would like it to tie into that week's episode. Then it's the talent's job to flush out that idea. Writing. Before getting the cameras out, the talent must sit down and write a script for his or her feature. The script is a blueprint to the feature. It tells the talent what to say or do, what kind of camera shots will be shown, and how the story will play out. Once the script's done, then the talent can go out and shoot. Step number 3, filming. This step is probably the most exciting step. The talent has to go out and interview the experts and learn about the feature's subject. Filming is not a task for the faint-hearted, though, since there are many factors that could go wrong. Things like the camera battery dies, the weather's bad, or even the tripod is broken. When the talent believes that he's gotten what he needs, he returns to the studio and begins putting it together. Editing and finalizing. Back in the studio, the talent takes the rough clips he got from filming and molds them into a coherent story. Editing is probably the most time-consuming of all the steps. Here's where the talent sees the mistakes he made during filming, and sometimes he has to go back and refilm. This is where the technical aspects come in. The talent has to make sure the clips flow correctly, that there are no sound problems, and it is in the correct format. When the feature is ready to go, the talent puts it in the can, and that's the last time the talent sees it till it airs.
It all comes down to it. WCTV is a collaborative team, and they're not so much like a class. I'm James Rogers reporting for WCTV. I gotta get working on my feature.
Thanks, James. Hopefully now you guys know a little more about the efforts put into WCTV. Before we take off, we have a few announcements.
For all of you girls planning on attending prom, we have good news for you.
Our company downtown has a ton of dresses just waiting to be sold. If you have dresses taking up space in your closet, you can drop them off there too. So be sure to check it out. I'm done talking about dresses now.
Good. Don't forget that our basketball teams will be playing Clarion Goldfield tonight.
And congratulations to the swing choir that had their first competition last night.
And lastly, don't forget that ITEDS testing is starting up in here next week, so be sure to stay focused and do your best on those tests. This has been Kirk
and Boone.
See you next week.